I desire that strange salvation. Call halal Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rakakwadash, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well through the Spirit. Mighty Shalom to the hopeful elect in the same Spirit, teaching His word and believing in His word. Shalom to the Akwat Yam, believers of His faith and His truth. Lord, that you all continue to endure and be sincere in the same Spirit and in sound doctrine. Lord, and the most have mercy on the other brothers and sisters. That's not the faith. I desire that strange salvation. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, starting at 15. For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep, those that died in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven shall descend from heaven with a shout, Salaki, and with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of the Most High, and the dead in Hamashiach shall rise first. Then we, which are alive and remain, shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. So shall we ever be with the Lord. Wherefore comfort one another with these words. I bring this out. There are probably a few lessons with this same verse in it multiple times. But, going off of what my second wife's dream she had a few days ago about being beamed up and couldn't explain it, but explain it in the way of how the old banks, when you used to get, make a deposit, dropping information or withdrawing money, that they would send a capsule through a tube and it would just suck up the damn battery tube. I call it a battery, but suck up the tube and then drop it. And, doing my reading today, came across this chapter and it had me thinking, like, what do that beam look like? Getting beamed up. Like Yarmayan said at work, we don't know what freedom look like. We don't even know what it looked like to truly be with the Lord. In our past life, Lord willing, we were those ones that believed in the Lord and actually walked and followed his ministry. In the time that we in now, I don't want my family, the brothers I labor with, the men that been building brick by brick, from the apostles on down, that been in here for 40 plus years on down, that been being sincere and diligent. I want the elect to get delivered, but I understand that we must go through this little suffering, and we're going to cherish, these moments, right? Because it's going to all benefit when the kingdom come, because we would never be away from the Lord. We would never sin again. Where your mom and people would say never, we're going to be able to say never. And those that died in the name of the Lord, like past tense, this moment that's about to come, we're going to be with those brothers and sisters real soon. You should desire to get beamed up, desire to taste that strange salvation. Now I want to get the classic that we normally bring, Wisdom of Solomon. I want to just read verse 2, but because it's a point I want to actually speak about on verse 1. So this Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter, verse 1, it says, Then shall the righteous man in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him, made no account of his labors. Right? So this is going to be a great moment. All those that afflicted us from past tense to present, right? We're about to stand up in great boldness, but through the Spirit, the elect men, and all the other believers, but really the prophets, Revelations 11, what we might get later on, we're standing on our feet now. And the number one thing is that we're getting the Rakak Wadash back. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is dealing with us in a spiritual level, man. Brothers and sisters, continue in the faith. Have desire, to get beamed up. Like it's saying, Luke, look up, because your redemption draweth nigh. Like yesterday, after doing a lesson with the family, I make mistakes in my past, and how I might order my household. I probably made mistakes, but I need Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai to do better. And after doing that beautiful lesson with the family, which I believe it was edifying to myself and them, coming out and, having a talk with the Lord, a chariot flew past, and I know it was. It flew past, and it was clear skies. Flew past, beamed a bright light, and then shot off. A plane is not doing that, like like shine the light like a regular light in your house. Like flick on the light, and then flick it off, and zapped, man. And then my two of my daughters, Maya and Araya, they came outside wanting to see a chariot, and I said, I didn't want to push the Lord to allow us to see it even more, but, having another conversation, and, hey, Yahweh Shema Shai, they even want to see it, and just off of just having a conversation and having my daughter say Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai, a chariot came and they jumped for joy, ran in the house saying they seen a chariot, and they peeped it, right? It was something stationary, and then it moved, and my daughters jumped for joy. And this is really about, this is what this lesson is about. Desire the strange salvation. For those that believe and get it, Lord willing, you're going to smile. Lord willing, when it's a clear sky, you're going to look up and be patient and wait for the Lord to reveal a chariot unto you. So again, this strange salvation is understood as being beamed up into a chariot, while the rest face destruction in Babylon and Israel or other places where, a nuke might touch them. The day of Yahweh Shem Shai is terrible for those that don't believe. Terrible for those that's not walking in this thing. Right? So let's get this. Let's go to Revelations 11. And I'm going to start at verse 10 because I want you to get understanding before we get to verse 12. So this Revelation is the 11th chapter. Verse 7 down is very amazing because then you get to understand the Renaissance and then ushering in America, right? But let's just stick to the point. Revelations 11, verse 10. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them. This is the other nations, starting with Esau. They're rejoicing because we became weak. Judith, the 5th chapter, verse 20 to 24. When we sin, we become weak, and other nations can consume us and have their way with us, right? We become very low because of our rebellion to Yahweh Shem Shai. We're basically weak, right? So again, they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them. Go read Judith, the 5th chapter, read 17 to 24. Go read it, right? Go see it for yourself, right? When we fell, they were able to overcome us. It says, and make merry and shall send gifts one to another, right? Like, what is it called? Like what we say Black Friday is when they were trading niggas on the auction block. Natives, they selling slaves to one another. Where are the gifts? It says, because these two prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth. Now, if anybody know history, before Yahushua came, even in the time when he was here, the southern and northern kingdom were separated kingdoms. They were two kingdoms, the southern and northern kingdom. So when it's saying two prophets, is symbolic going to the two heads of both kingdoms. Judah, the head of the southern kingdom, Ephraim, the head of the northern kingdom. It says, and after 3 days and a half, 350 years, the spirit of life from the Most High entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them, right? And Wisdom of Solomon 5:1, right? We're going to stand in great boldness in front of those that have afflicted us. And before we stand bold, we need the breath of life. That's why I said the spirit of life from the Most High entered into them. We need that first to stand up, right? Verse 12, it says, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them, right? This is really talking about a chariot, right? Clouds are symbolic of, to chariots. This is a literal beaming up moment, right? They could be called clouds. We got in 2 Kings 2, call them horsemen or chariots of Israel, whirlwind, you know? So again, so the two prophets is the two witnesses, which is symbolic to the southern and northern kingdom. And then, of course, those that having a breath of life in verse 11 is going into the prophets or the elect. Because, of course, the 144,000, which is pushing his word through the Ruach HaKodesh, and then you have the other elect that are growing believers. Because the other believers need the preachers that's teaching his word. Romans 10 and 14. How they going to believe unless they heard? Or how they going to believe unless a preacher was sent to them? So the preachers, the teachers have to come out and teach this word so the other elect can actually believe in the Lord. And when that time comes, they're going to be taken up, which is a representation of salvation from destruction. 1 Peter 4, verse 17, right? Judgment is going to happen at the house of the Most High first, and then those that don't obey the gospel, and then the righteous are going to be scarcely saved, which is the 18th verse, right? And the difficult or barely being saved, Lord willing, you desire to be saved. Again, you should be thinking about getting beamed up, right? Because we're almost close to the end of this story of Esau's reign, So this is Isaiah 26, verse 20 to 21. It says, "Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself as it were a little moment, until the indignation be overpassed. For behold, Yahweh cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain." Right? And the chambers is the chariots, right? Because it's often broken down as chariots or a safe place of deliverance while judgment is going on, right? So we're going to be, the Lord is going to come and get us, and we're going to be in the chambers, which is the chariots. You got to think. Well, it's saying Ecclesiastes, better is the end of a thing. Yahweh Shai is coming in a strange way. It's a strange way to the world, especially the Israelites. This knowledge was removed from us. Just like David in the mulberry tree. When he was going to war, the Lord said, hold on, wait until you hear like an army walking over the trees, basically. But it was the chariot, because the Lord was going ahead of David on his behalf, or really on the behalf of Israel. We got Elijah in the time of Elijah and Elisha. He got to see it. He wasn't shocked. Well, in the time of Moses, when the chariot by day and night, right? You got a pillar of cloud by day, a pillar of fire by night, right? We actually understood. We understood and we seen it. But now we've been so removed that when, especially me talking about I'm seeing the chariot, some people gonna hear like, man, yeah, right, man, show proof. It's all on the channel. But guess what? Any video, any lesson, anything I speak on, I can't make nobody believe. Even if you wasn't right in front of me, I was in the same shoe dissing the head brother saying, man, you ain't seen no chariot, until that one day a chariot was flying to the right and to the left. And that was not no plane moving that fast from what I saw. And I had to say sorry to this brother because I was really telling him he didn't see no chariot. I don't want to say anything is a chariot, but when you get in these scriptures, Genesis 28, 10 to 12, Jacob, of course in his vision, but this is in real time, the angels ascend and descend, coming to the earth, going back to the heavens. How is the left-hand side tempting us? 1 Kings 22. When he said, who's going to go down and tempt Ahab? How can that spirit, that angel, come down and tempt 400 prophets? They're descending from heaven to come down to do the Lord's bidding. You got to believe. Let's get this in Matthew. Matthew 24, verse 30 and 31. It says, Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Right? That's going to be a glorious, magnificent day. Lord willing, we are that number. I don't know about y'all. Me, I'm harping on it. Yarmayan, Sam, the brothers, we speak about this so much. I desire this. Right? The angels gathering the elect from all parts of the earth. The elect being beamed up by chariots. Chariots is a vehicle. Just like back then, when they had the chariots in Egypt and other places with the horses dragging where the men or the soldiers stand on. Now, look at modern time, we got a car. That's a chariot. An airplane, that's a flying chariot. Right? You got a boat, that's a water chariot. I mean, even though a boat is a boat, but these is chariots. So the Heavenly Father is going to have a way advanced chariot that's going to come from the heavens to the earth to get his elect. These is mysteries, right? This is Psalms 91. Psalms 91, verse 7 to 11. And it reads, it says, 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right, but it shall not come to thee. Only with thy eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. Right? And that's them being destroyed. How we going to see it if we destroy it? It says, verse 9, because thou hast made Yahweh, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. Right? So those protected from the judgment, this is interpreted as being delivered or taken up, while others is being perished. You better hope that you believe in this strange salvation, because how you gonna get out if we're understanding through the scriptures that America's gonna be afflicted or this world is gonna go through chaos, for you not to get destroyed? How you gonna get saved? How you gonna get scarcely saved? You can't say a plane. How a plane gonna take off? Which you gonna say a boat? You got to go to a place to get to a boat, but let alone these missiles, let alone wherever they drop in the wave mass. If you are either a mile near it, you're going to be destroyed. Now, we see in Revelations 18, the merchants that sail from country to country, taking the coast of the seas, right? They're going to see Babylon be destroyed. But if they're not getting hit by the aftermath or the wave, they have to be far out, far distance. But if Yahushua coming like a thief in the night, you have to think these missiles, this time that's going to come is going to come least expected. And Jake, if to get a boat or on a plane, you got to buy a ticket. How you going to know what's going to happen, let alone if you have the mindset of leaving and fleeing? If you are of the 2/3, wherever you go, you still going to be touched. So for those that are the elect, they desire to get that strange salvation, which it was strange when Moses came doing all these plagues. Psalms 106 verse 7 in NLT, Israel wasn't even impressed by the miracles of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai in the time of Moses. Yahushai coming to do great things. He coming in his glory. He's coming with power and thousands of angels with thousands of chariots. He's going to do some things. That's why it's going to be called strange. Why would it be called strange in the scriptures? You got to think about it. You got to put that into perspective. Why would it be called strange? Right? Let's get 2 Kings, the 2nd chapter in verse 11. I'll read verse 12. I'll read verse 11. Salaki. It says, and it shall come to pass as they went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder, and Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. And Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariot of Israel, and the horsemen thereof. And he saw him no more. And he took hold of his own clothes and rent them into two pieces. And he took up also the mantle of Elijah that fell from him, and went back and stood by the bank of stood by the bank of Jordan. So Elisha got to see Elijah get beamed up. He called it the chariots of Israel. He called it the horsemen, right? They even called it a whirlwind. But these are the chariots of Israel. That's another indicator. When people say the other nations are going to get salvation, that means they're going to get beamed up by a chariot of Israel. Them chariots is only for the elect. It's only for the nation of Israel. Those is our vehicles. You know, that's like you having a vehicle that's yours. Like right now, this car, let somebody else drive it that don't pertain to my household or a family member that I give it to. If they get pulled over, show me your license, your registration. Your license is not matching the registration, let alone the insurance. Right? Now, if I can call this stolen because this is my property. So when we look at the chariots, right, technically, those is ours, you know? So again, Elijah being taken by a whirlwind, which is a chariot, is an example of a literal beaming up. Now, we got another one. You got Elijah too. He was taken, but it didn't describe it the same way as it did Elijah. But let's get this one about Yahushai, Acts, the 1st chapter. This is Acts chapter 1, and I'm going to read verse 9. Now, I'm going to read verse 8 because this is what Yahushai told the disciples before he got beamed up. It says, but ye shall receive power after the Ruach HaKodesh has come upon you, and ye shall be witnesses unto me both in Jerusalem and in Judea, and in all Judea, and in Samaria, and the uttermost part of the earth. Right? Now, the uttermost part of the earth, the apostles did not come. So this is talking about the end time, right? Them coming to the ends of the earth, which is America, to fulfill what was said in Revelations 11, verse 7, all the way to 11. Right? Because when Rome basically was reborn again, you know, things had to get established, and then, you know, the northern kingdom had to be touched by the Edomites, because what was they doing over here? They were sinning. They were turning their back to the Lord. They started following the gods of old. And then the southern kingdom, we fell. And after fleeing the African mountains and being there for a minute, right? After that whole time, Esau was in a cave. We were ruling during that Benzing Empire. Then we fell out of our position. And then later on, the Edomites came and bought us from the Hamites. Now, you see a little example of it in the Woman King, right? And this was all the Lord's doing to bring forth what was said in Jeremiah 3:18, Jeremiah 50:33, that Judah and Israel, or Jerusalem and Israel, will be in captivity together. They will be oppressed together, right? So verse 9, it says, and when he had spoken these things while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. Right? What is that cloud? A chariot. And while they looked standfastly towards heaven as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahushai, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. So the same way he got beamed up, it says he is coming back. There's no way around that, man. I want that strange salvation. I want to, right? Just as Yahushua was taken up in the chariot, he will return the same way to take up the elect. Are you desiring to be of the elect? Right? What about your actions? right? I have to do better. I have to. If I want to get beamed up, I got to make myself worthy unto Yahweh Shem Shai. To be the elect, that's of course it's mercy, but you were ordained before the heavens and the earth. I want to be of the elect. Right? This Isaiah 31:5. It says, as birds flying, so will Yahweh of hosts defend Jerusalem. Defending also he will deliver it, and passing over he will preserve it. Now, if you ever seen birds fly as a whole unit, you got the one bird that's in front of them, like it does something to the current, to the wind or the air, and it makes them fly more smooth. But that's like how they assemble. Yahweh Shai is coming like birds fly. So his chariot is going to be the first in the lineup, and then you will have all the other chariots behind. It's going to be like a whole triangle, right? Birds flying is symbolic of chariots moving and defending the elect, likely in the form of beaming up, but it's going to be in a triangle form. It's amazing, man. How everybody excited about a freaking superhero movie, Avengers and all. Yo, the elect are happy and excited that we're getting closer to the time of Esau in Jacob's beginning, right? As soon as you see the MOTB, we're closer. Jacob's trouble, during that whole time, during that trial, we're closer and closer. And then when Yahweh Shai, what he said he's going to come with fire, even if it's already be kindled in Luke the 12th chapter, right? And the elect is having faith in the Lord. Some, again, is going to be put in the spirit world because of being a witness of Yahweh Shai, standing firm for the word, not bowing the knee to the image or the system, right? Or taking the MOTB, right? Well, where is your mind at? Where is your heart at? Do you desire these things, right? Because the longer this kingdom going, the more you got to wait for your kingdom. Now, us thinking about it is not just making the kingdom come, because all has to be fulfilled that pertains to Yahweh Shai. All has to be fulfilled, which was prophesied. So like I'm getting excited, which was prophesied through the men of the Lord, right? So Lord, when this edifying, it was edifying to me. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, Barakat Yahweh, Barakat Yahweh Shai, Barakat Yahweh, Barakat Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well through the Spirit. A mighty shalom to the hopeful elect in the same Spirit, teaching His word and believing His word, Lord willing that they all continue to endure and be sincere in sound doctrine and in the same Spirit. Shalom to the Akwathiam again, that our believers of His word and His truth, Lord willing, you continue to pursue your lot, which is being a loving and silent and virtuous wife. Lord willing, the most have mercy on the other brothers and sisters that's not in the faith. With that, shalom, shalom, abba, abba.